Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Yeah, you can hear me, yeah. Okay, let me just go in. The time is nine in the morning. I just talked to Ganesh a few minutes ago. Ganesh just woke up about 45 minutes ago. He had his coffee. He says, Josh, I'm not ready yet. Too early. But again, I'm glad basically Ganesh is with us today and all of you here because we want to go in and provide a session where I think basically for you all to be excited. I was actually very excited yesterday after John's session. I'm not sure how many of you actually attended the session yesterday where John shared about him losing weight. I can envision basically John the same size as Marcus, and in a few months' time where he will lose 10 kg. And I thought about that one because his goal is twice my goal. John was bold enough to set a goal that basically, I set a goal of losing 5 kg 2 years back, and I'm still trying to lose 5 kg. So one of the things I realized basically the if you want to set a goal, make sure your goal is big, so that if you have plans, you can fulfill it. And when I look at his goal, I realized actually he was willing to do things that I was not willing to do. Imagine cutting rice, not having rice for 30 days. And that is a bold strategy that's taking. But again, it's only for 30 days. And I know if you do for 30 days, you will see the results. And again, the other thing he did that I thought was impressive is the fact that he exercised twice a day, morning and afternoon. For me, my plan is very simple. Basically, I only do 30 minutes walking every day. I try to basically, like Tyler Shields, I try to cut out my meals before 9. But I'm able to maintain my weight, but I cannot lose the weight. So I challenge you all basically if you want to go in and get more listings, I think you all need to go in and figure a way to double down your goals. So I was pretty excited by the way, I won't change my goals. I'll keep it at 5 kg, but I'll double my workout. Maybe a way like extend it and do some things because I still enjoy my food and I want to maintain at least once or twice fried kway teow every week. But what is your favorite food this morning? Maybe you can put a chat box on how many of you had a breakfast and what was your breakfast this morning. We'll give a few more minutes, just allowing more people to come in and join us for this session. Just 30 seconds silence and I'll be back again. Half-boiled egg, Joshua. Hey, Joshua, half-boiled egg is my favorite also. Just to let you know, basically, I've perfected the art of making half-boiled egg 4 at one time. You can let me know whether you want it the egg white softer or harder. So maybe you can share a recipe with me. Sweet potatoes, coffee and cereal, Sharon. Christopher, very healthy. Bread, I have bread but no oats. Herbal life shake, Susan. Wheat bread, simple bread and oats. Egg white softer. What is the secret? Don't worry, Joshua, we'll have a time together. The easiest is basically I can take it to a place that serves the best butter and kaya and bread. That one I'll pay for it. That one is perfect one. Fruit and long mica Eunice, that's a very heavy breakfast. Just having dim sum, protein and oats. Well, Jonathan, basically you're also one of those the healthy ones. Are good, huh? Yeah, I'm not sure whether protein, oats, and curry laksa can go together, Jonathan. I still owe you one. Okay, guys, let me share with you basically to start this time one. Before I actually asked the Ganesh to come in, I watched a video a couple of months back that Gary Keller actually did an interview, and in the interview, someone asked him, Gary, how can you actually get more listings? And at that point, they were running his pivot ball, and their goal basically as a group itself is to get 10,000 listings. And then this is what Gary Keller says, if you want to get more listings, then go and list more properties. Very simple and profound. Just go and list more properties. And the job that we have is not really to make, we cannot make people sell their properties. So our job is to provide information for people to make a decision. Our job is to provide information for people to make a decision. The sale is about giving people all the information so they can make a good decision or the best decision for themselves. So again, we don't make owners sell their properties. We just provide enough information as consultant so that they know what to do with the information and whether they should sell or they should hold. And basically, he shared this on here when he started this journey. He was very fearful and he was trained to work hard. and he work hard, he needs to get paid. If I work basically for 1 hour, I expect to get paid for 1 hour. At that point in time, for every hour, he get paid $1. He was fearful because he joined industry that he can work for a lot of hours but don't get paid. And you and myself are in that industry today. It means we work, but if we don't close a sale, we are not getting paid. So he was fearful. So he basically, one day when he was in this particular basement and he saw a video and he put the video on, and it's a video by Tom Hopkins. And Tom Hopkins basically shared this: for 100 people that you meet, you will, for 100 people that you meet, someone will do business with you. And that clicked on his mind. Basically, for 100 people that you meet, one person will, so it's basically a law of average or numbers. For 100 people that you meet, one person will do business with you. So basically, in this case, it's actually knowing your numbers. If you want to be successful, how many people do you need to meet to actually achieve your goal? And yesterday, basically in the GPS that you have attended class, if the goal is to close 25 deals, how many listings do you need to have? So, and then the Seng Fei went in the formula and shows us that basically for 25 closing, you need to have basically 100 listings, 25% conversion. In order to get 100 listings, you need to have 200 appointments at 50% conversion ratio. So 200 appointments, 100 listings, 25 closing. Now, to get 200 appointments, how many people must you call? And he went in to show us a lead generation model. Basically, if you follow the MREA model, the ratio is basically 12 to 2, or in this case, 6 to 1. So if you take 200 times 6, you're talking about 1,200 calls. So if you make 1,200 calls in 1 year, you will be able to go in and have 25 closing. Now, knowing the numbers so big itself seems to be very scary. So you need to break the yearly goal down to monthly goal and then down to a weekly goal. So what is your weekly number? My weekly number is 4, 2, and 1. 4 appointments every week, 2 listings to take, and 1 closing. So it makes it more manageable for me. So what Galen mentioned is the fact that it's important for you to actually know your numbers and know the law of average. If you call 100 people, 1 of them will respond. And the other thing he shared is basically the fact that he had a client that basically wanted to buy a property from him, and he was very excited to actually go in and close the deal. But that night itself, the wife says, "I'm not ready yet. So let me think about it for a week." A week later, he called back and wanted to go in and close the deal. But the person told him, "Sorry, basically within a week I've actually saw a few other properties and I bought another property." And what Gary Keller realized at that point in time is that the world do not need a hardworking and honest agent. And most of us are hardworking and honest agent. What the world needs is basically a hardworking and honest agent who knows their scripts and dialogues. So the two things to actually go in and be successful. One is that you need to know your numbers and then the law of average. The second one is basically you need to be a hardworking and honest agent, but we need to know our scripts and dialogues in order for us to be successful. And today, for example, for us to go in and be consistent, let me share one chart with you that has helped me to understand the importance of actually consistency, okay? This chart basically is, let me just pull the chart out. Okay, let me share my screen. You all can see this screen over here. This is what we are trying to achieve today in my conversation with Ganesh, is to talk through basically our experience, how you can have lead generation, but have lead generation for more listings. Now, this chart basically shows 2 things. One on the top itself is inconsistent lead generation activities. The second one is a consistent lead generation activities. Now, most of us basically today, if you're not getting listings, then look at the first chart. If your lead generation is inconsistent, your closing will be inconsistent. Okay, if your lead generation go up and down, then your closing will also follow up and down. And what is actually a better thing to do is to have consistent lead generation, a straight line. In this case, it's lead generation basically for 2 hours every day, time block, and your sales will eventually actually go up. So most of us really want the second graph, consistent lead generation activities in order to do that. Now, both myself and Ganeshan, we have been in the stream. Mine is basically, I think, half of Ganesh or even 1/3 of Ganesh. You know, I'm only 15 years. Ganesh is small. But again, it's that he has been consistently producing results and training people to do that. And both of us together, hopefully, when we come in, can actually share our experience to actually help you in this particular process here. I want to start with this chart here because this chart allows me to get an idea of what we are trying to achieve today. Consistent lead generation. And the topic today basically is not so much buyer, is how to get more listings. Why don't you type on the chat box for me basically what are the 3 L's? If you have been attending our sessions all along, what are the 3 L's? The first L stands for Someone in this group must know what is the first L. Listings, okay, that's one L. Second one, leads. And the last one is leverage. Okay, again, thanks for sharing that. Basically, leads, listing, and leverage. If you don't have listings one, you focus on leads. In the leads one, you have buy lead, sell leads, and eventually, if you have an owner want to sell a property, then you list the property there. So once you list the property and you have more properties, the question is, how can you leverage using more people, technology, or systems in order for you to actually close more? So the first thing basically is that you need to know your numbers. Second is that you need to understand that lead generation is a process to go through to get more leads, listings, and then you leverage on people, technology, and systems to allow you to do that. Now, I'm not going to draw the chart here, but most of you, if you can imagine a funnel, the top is bigger, basically, at the bottom one, it goes, that means you have a lot of leads on top, it goes down, and then filter to less. The beginning top one basically is the fact that you need to have leads. And to get leads, you need to go through prospecting and marketing, get a lot of leads, and the leads goes in, and you must set an appointment. So leads to appointments, and appointments is, if you go in and you're successful to go in and manage the appointments, then you'll get listings. Now, when you get listings, then the question is that if you market the listings properly, the listings will actually eventually get you more listings, and then you'll close the listings. Once you close the listings, profit comes in. Can you see the process? Leads, appointments, listings, closing, profit. Now, most of us want to focus on profit. No closing, no profit. But the key is that you need to realize in order for you to have closing, you must have enough listings. And to get more listings, you need to go back and say, are you having enough appointments to get those listings? And if you don't have appointments, you need to go back. Do you know how to generate leads in order to get appointments? And today, basically, we realize the process. We are focusing on basically appointments to listings. Now, just because you get more listings, do not guarantee that you actually have profit. It goes through a funnel, a process to go through that. So if you imagine another basically line, straight line, and then the first one basically lead generation, the middle is follow-up, and the last portion is closing. You've seen the chart many times, lead generation, follow-up, and closing. Today, we are talking about lead generation to get more leads. If you don't follow up on the listings itself, you will not close. Most agents want to close, but to close, you must have proper follow-up. And today, when we talk about lead generation and listings, if you don't follow up, you will actually not have closing. So again, you need to keep that in mind. The lead generation is a funnel, it's a process. The other one basically on share also is the fact that it's a rule of 5. There are 5 things that basically agents today need to do. The first one is that you must be good in lead generation. You must be good in lead follow-ups. You must be good in going for appointments. You must learn to negotiate transaction to close. And then you must also practice scripts and role play. 5 job description for you. Lead generation, lead follow-up, go for appointments, negotiate transaction to close, and then to practice scripts and dialogues. So I want to share that with that perspective that today, even though I'm going into conversation with Ganesh to talk about lead generation and listings, in your mind, I want to imagine the process. It takes a process to go through. I'm only covering one of the process to go through that. Okay, Ganesh, basically, are you there? Can I actually get you online a little bit? So you can dialogue now.
Hi,
now, based on what I just shared just now, Ganesh, we're going to go in. But before we start that, can I maybe go in and have a conversation today? Basically, I know Ganesh basically Ganesh use the word today. George is going to interrogate him. I'm going to put a gun at Ganesh. Ganesh, everything that you know, please tell us so that we can learn from you. It is a conversation with Ganesh. I had this conversation with Ganesh basically a few days back. I want to talk through what is it that we can share that actually can help the agents be more successful. So take that in this conversation. There are a lot of nuggets that we can learn from one another. Pick it up, take a piece of paper, write down, and then we can share on the chat box things or insight that you learn. Because when you write now, all of us can learn together. So Ganesh, before we actually go in, can you share a little bit? You have been in industry for how long, and why are you still passionate about real estate?
Okay, I have been in this industry for nearly now 29 years. I know it's some people have been telling me that it's a long time, and maybe I should call it a day. But I'm still passionate. I have to admit that it has been a long journey, a journey with a lot of mistakes made along the way. I joined Repeal in 1992. Before that, I was from an accounting background. Um, I was not happy because I really didn't fit in a 9 to 5 environment. I wanted to be in control, so I decided to join a real estate industry. It was not a radical move because I was from a property background because I was working for a small property developer. So I had some background, but always on the administrative and accounting side. No, so I did not have any sales and marketing background, but I decided that I think I wanted to be in control, and this was the industry to join. And Refill was good enough to accept me, and I was with them for a few years, and then I got my license, left Refill, and started my own agency in Taman Tun. And I was running my own firm for 14 years. And then about 11 years ago, I came back. And I was grateful. They accepted me. I decided to go back because I can do so much. There's a lot of things. I wasn't strong in the branding Refill had, and also the support they get. No, and I have no regrets at all. I bet for the last 11 years.
Thanks for sharing that, Ganesh. Just to check, because one of the things we listen, in order to be successful, you first of all must be an accountant. And second is you must have a developer background. No.
Yeah, basically, my training and all that, it's quite helpful because I'm disciplined in that sense. But it can also be a handicap in the sense that
Yeah, but again, it's because the past experience itself is there. But you mentioned something, Ganesh, that you had no sales experience.
Yeah.
But yet, basically, you venture in, and then you are willing to go in and run an agency for how many years?
Yes.
14 years in Taman Tun. Now,
Yes.
today, basically, are you still in Taman Tun, or you're
Very much.
so?
very
So, would you consider yourself as a local expert in that particular Taman Tun area?
I know every road. I can go blindly, but I'm still learning. The market is evolving, and I'm still learning. And yeah, I'm basically focused in that area: PJ, Bangsa, Hartamas, and Damansara Heights.
PJ Bangsa. Again, it's as you go along, you actually evolve and go slightly bigger. But generally, you are really a local expert. You specialize in your particular area, and you understand the market very well. Now, today, if you look at the market in Taman Tun, for example, what do you think basically is the market like, and are the people actually going in to still buy, or the owners selling the properties at this point in time?
Yeah,
Just looking in your market.
the areas which I'm focusing on, it is a very strong market because most of the owners have been holding the property for a long time. Right now, people are still looking at that area, but I think they are cautious. They are very, very cautious about coming in, especially with this pandemic. And so I have managed to close properties in the areas which I've, even in this pandemic recently, but because the prices were adjusted. This is another factor, which is if you want to move in these areas, owners have to be educated about the new environment.
Yeah, to the area. Good to see that. But again, it's on the chat box. Basically, Amelia commented that the prodigal son returned, and again, welcome home, Ganesh. And then another comment said he was the Charlie and many angels working for him back then. So that means is it an all ladies team in Taman Tun, or you say that Ganesh have a team of all ladies?
Basically, my team consisted of mostly ladies.
Really?
Yes, yes. They were not easy to handle, but they were very, very strong in those areas.
Again, it's a success basically in Taman Tun. I don't think it has to be just men or women. Again, he said the key is that you need to go in and be an agent that's hardworking and honest, but knows the market, understand the market, knows the scripts and dialogues to go through.
Yeah.
So again,
another thing which I must emphasize on, and I think I believe I have a little bit of that, is the building relationship. You may have all the knowledge, you may have all the sales skills, but if you don't have relationship with owners, it's not going to move.
Yeah, on building the relationship, maybe I want to go a little bit deeper in terms of the farming area, Ganesh, because like today, basically, if you want to go in and lead generate and get more listings, do you think focusing in a farming area and getting more listings are connected versus getting listings all over the place? How important is farming in an area versus getting a lot of listings?
Okay, I don't mind admitting that initially when I came in as a rookie, I was practically all over the area. I don't regret that. I was in Ampang, Shah Alam, Sungai Buloh, and all that. But over the years, I gained a lot of experience on the various types of properties and the different personalities. And then as I evolved, I think really decided that I always stayed in Petaling Jaya, and of course, luckily for me, Reedfield was also in PJ. I decided to focus on in these areas also because I was born and raised in this area. So basically, I know every road. I mean, I know the kind of people that are living in this. So I decided to focus, and it has brought the results. I think you wouldn't survive 29 years in this industry.
Yeah, and again, the point that you're looking at is basically you can today basically you're listening over here one. If you are starting fresh anew, I think what Ganesh is saying is that you can go in and learn to expand a little bit, explore. You can go to Ampang, you can go to Klang, you can go to Cameron Highlands, you can go to Ipoh, you can explore. But at some point in time, one basically the plane have to land. You know, you cannot always take a view that's on top. When they go down and zoom in an area that you felt like basically this is an area that you can succeed, that's where you begin to go in and develop that. Because I know, Ganesh, when I started off I didn't know what to do. So basically, I'm staying in Subang, and someone tell me basically there's a listing in Bukit Jalil. At that point, they are building the stadium over there. So I went there. Basically, I was there for about 3 months. You know, but every time I go through the toll and pay the toll, you know, I get very frustrated because along the way, someone will call me, Josh, your appointment is cancelled. I had to turn back and pay the toll. You know, I learned a bit of that, but I realized that area, my success was not, and that area, at that point in time, the demand was not there. Now today, look at that area, you have pavilion coming out, there are a lot of condos, a lot of development. At that point in time, I choose to go in and decide maybe to go back and look at another area. So that's why I begin to focus back in the USJ Subang. And today, after 15 years, there's still an area I focus in. But I explore out to learn a little bit, and then from there you come back and decide maybe this is where you're effective. So I encourage you all to always go back and look at an area that you are good at. But it doesn't mean you cannot expand. So whenever you are lost, whenever you're lost, always go back to something that you're familiar. I know if I go back to USJ, one half story one, I can always sell that property. I know how to sell the property. So it's important that you go back something familiar to regain your confidence so that you move forward. Keep that in mind. We are not saying you have to go and focus only in one area, but you cannot be a specialist of the Malaysia or the whole Klang Valley, but you can be a specialist in Taman Tun or in Subang area. Okay, so farming area is important to do that. At some point, if you don't have a farming area, I encourage you to look at the area. Now, the other question, basically, I want to check with you, the Ganesh. You mentioned basically in your experience, you deal with a lot of people. There are some owners that are more difficult and more challenging. Some are easier. Now, do you have a special way to build relationship with those owners?
I basically I am very particular about who I work with. Okay, the part where you describe difficult. Yes, some owners are very challenging. I don't mind working with people who are strong personalities, as long as they are transparent about what they want. Their expectations can be challenging, but I don't mind working with them as long as they are willing to work with me. So, but the moment an owner becomes not so transparent and has other reasons for wanting to engage my services, I will walk away. So I'm very particular that people who I work with, they have to be transparent. So so I don't know whether that answers your question.
I think it helps because you again is your choice of words is important, because if I say that it's a difficult owner, then basically in my mind, basically the owner, I'm not sure whether I want to list the property. Now, when you say basically there's a challenging owner and the owners have different personality, then I'm saying, okay, I can relate with any different type. I want to connect with them. I know that they're different from me, but at the same time, they basically want, as long as they're willing to go in and be transparent with you, you go into that relationship to start with.
Yeah.
So the first thing is basically realize that actually we are dealing with people. They are all kinds. And if you know the personality, they are the dominant type. There's a steady type. There's the influencing type. Basically, there's one that's more cautious. If we start saying that I only want to work with certain kind of people, then we are actually eliminating a lot of potential owners and sellers.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind. We are dealing with people.
Maybe I can elaborate on that. I got to, recently I closed properties with two different datos. They had very high expectation. Initially, they wanted certain things to be done as soon as possible. But when I explained to them the current market situation and the environment we are working in, and also I presented them the data and all that, taking emotion out of the conversation, they actually started listening. And it took me some time. Oh, they were not easy in the sense that some of these properties which I closed took me more than 6 months to close. But the fact that every time I went back to them, explained to them what I've been doing, and when they realized the market has changed, they actually then lowered the price to an extent which I could close it.
Okay, let me backtrack, Ganesh, because what you say is at this point one. Now, we talked earlier basically about the importance of you identifying your area that you want to focus in. Now we are moving a little bit to looking at the point that basically once you identify and there is an appointment to go in. Now, Ganesh is going to the appointment, talking to two datos. Again, it's from there on, he's learning to build relationship with them.
Yep.
The first thing that you mentioned, Ganesh, that you present data and you're not emotional. That means basically when you come in a relationship, is that how you start your relationship? You go in and establish the fact that basically you are the expert and this is the information, and then from there you build it. What do you do to actually go in and build the relationships further?
Okay, maybe I should illustrate how I practice whatever I say now by giving you an example. I'll give you an example of a property I got in SS1 in PJ. I got a call about a few years ago from a person suddenly saying that I was recommended to him to work on to sell his property bungalow. It was a single-story bungalow in SS1. And over the phone, he described, gave me the details, told me that it was 8,500 single-story old bungalow, and he wanted a certain price that was 2.8 million ringgit. I thought, wow, okay, it sounds reasonable. Then he told me, hey, I'm going to give you the photos. This is the price I want. I pay you 2% commission. Can you market it? I hesitated and I told him, I need to view it. And after that piece, he said, no, I've got a few other agents. They took the listing. They took my photos. I gave them the description. I'm the owner. You work on it. So I said, no, I don't work that way. That's not what refill is. I told him I got. Then he asked me, "Do you have buyers?" I told him we always have a database of prospects who are wanting to buy, but they expect me and my team to inspect it first and qualify it, and then only recommend that. That's very important. And then I think he had his wife beside him, and he said, I think they were hesitating. This is the first time that they are having a conversation with an agent who insisting that they have an inspection before they market the property. And they had always got away with this, you know. So I explained to them the process and how I need to inspect it before, and then only I can recommend it to my client. So reluctantly, they gave me an appointment. So I realized that this is going to be a difficult person, uh, and I better be prepared. So I prepared all my listing presentation, my CMA, called up 3 banks to get the indicative valuations, and then I went into Street View, Google Street View, to check on the location, and I could see the property uh, through Street View. It was in a cul-de-sac, good location. It looked very old, but very good location. And together with that, and another thing which I really, really was relieved in the sense that I had a team of a lot of rookies with me. When I do my coaching, I always take 1 or 2 of my rookies so that whatever I teach them, I can also show them. So 2 of them agreed to come with me. We agreed on the roles we are going to play. And on that day of appointment, we went there. He and his wife were waiting for us at the end, at the gate, and they were surprised to see 3 people coming to inspect the property. And introduced ourselves. Then I told him, "Can you give me a? I want to inspect the property outside." So he took me, and then I think he was very proud of his property, and he explained to me all the extensions, renovations he had done. While doing this, one of the rookies was taking down notes, and then the other one was taking photographs, and then we will follow them into the house. House was cluttered. I mean, it was clean, but it was cluttered. So we told them that before taking the photos, we need to clear the clutter. You know? So I was impressed. These rookies were professionals. They removed the clutter in every part of the house, put them into one side. Even when the bed sheets were wrinkled or anything, they went and put them correctly, drew the curtains, make sure all the lighting was done. And then when it took us nearly 1.5 hours to get the photographs right. Then I asked them whether I could speak to them so that I can explain to them how we are going to do the marketing. And then I started off by, of course, determining their motivations. They explained that they are a retired couple, 65 years old. Their children had gone overseas. They were downgrading. They had bought a single-story terrace house nearby, renovating it, and they wanted to sell it off, and that was the reason. And that they had no financial pressure. Remember, there were no financial pressure on selling. It's just a practicality. So after determining that, we sat down. I explained who we are. I had a listing presentation, who Refill was. KW had not come in at that time. Who Refill was, and then I explained to them how we are going to market the property. I normally have a 6-month plan, every 2 months changing my marketing. No? And explained to them how that was going to be done. Then I told them for me to do this, I need to be appointed formally. And then I went through the appointment letter, the exclusive appointment letter, line by line. Uh, they were professionals. She was a retired banker, and he was actually owning a business. So when I explained to them, I was a bit surprised. They were absolutely silent. I think they never had gone through this with an agent. But I, I actually explained everything to them, and they were completely silent. And then I was wondering, the best I can expect was that they would say they will think it over and politely ask us to leave. But what happened was Sunday was they both looked at each other and they said, "Okay." I was wondering, okay for what? Okay, we will sign up. They did not even object to the professional fees because they, I think what we had presented, they had never seen it before. And the fact that they are going to get all these services, and for them, I think the fees was irrelevant. Later realized the four agents were marketing the property, they were not motivated. So all their marketing was what you call cheap in the sense that exposure was not given. And I could see that because when I went into the internet, I could check out how they were marketing. So what I'm coming to is, I think the way we presented ourselves and the value we they saw in us, I think they realized that they were going to get something in return.
Yeah.
And I closed it.
Yeah. And
6
how long was
months
that?
later.
How long was that the whole appointment?
Oh, it took me about 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. Now,
Yeah.
if you hear just what the Ganesh was, he's actually describing basically and what happens when he's in front of owners with two rookies taking notes. Imagine that in the room.
Taking notes, and what the other one taking a photo. And he also, another thing which we projected is, I'm not going to do this alone. I told them that I'm going to work with other agents. I'm going to have a team backing me up. I'm not going to do this alone. I told him I can't do this all by myself. And they realized, yeah.
Correct. And again, we try to break down so that we all understand basically in this case one, when you want to get more listings, you have to sit in front of a seller and you have to present. And what Ganesh is again is that he presented data, he's not emotional. That means he has done his homework, he has checked the webs, he has got a CMA, he has checked the bank valuation, he has Googled down the location, even though basically he knows the area and the road.
Yeah.
Basically, he still took time to go in and study. Now, if you notice, basically, he also learned to ask a lot of questions and he took time, 2.5 hours to build that relationship. So the people saw the value that actually Ganesh is providing as different. I'm sure Ganesh is the one to tell the rookies, make sure you declutter the whole place before you take picture.
Yeah, but
again,
I
it's a plan. Correct.
Yeah.
So again, these are all planned that they've talked through their roles that they do, because very few people today, an agent, you will go in and remove mess, but you're telling the owner that you want a photo that actually impresses the client. So I want to take the best picture of your house. So can I help you? So again, I think he would have asked for permission to remove that so that he can actually go in and create a better impression. So
what's so impressive, this agent, these rookies took it out, put it in another room, took the photograph, and then went back and put it back exactly in a neater place. I think they never saw this before.
So the key is, if you don't know how to do that, make sure before you move the clutter, take a picture first, move the clutter, and then move it back to the same place to do that. But again, I think what impresses me also is the fact that the owners would be impressed because very few agents will differentiate themselves to do that. But you took time to asking questions, and then I think basically when you talk with them, how did you build a relationship? Did you try to find something in common that you can talk with?
I want to be very frank with you. This couple, I think they had a stereotype. They had bad experiences with agents. They were very, very suspicious. So normally when when I saw them, that they had this stern look, and they were wondering, why are three people coming and inspect this property when, well, I already sent you photos and all that. But I think I broke the ice, uh, especially when I asked them about how the house, how they had lived there. Basically, what I found out was that he had been raised in that house, lived, he had inherited the house from the father. They had done extension, renovation. So there was a lot of emotional attachment to the property.
Yeah, that means, yeah.
So as we were talking, I actually saw some. there were some things in the garden which I really like. I'm into gardening too, even though I live in a garden. I appreciated that. And then they realized that we had certain things in common. I really liked the way he had landscaped part of the garden. And we slowly, we picked up from there.
Yeah,
You
again,
got
it's
to be genuine,
correct. I think
really.
the key, correct. Let's say you're genuinely connecting basically with them and observing things that's around there. That
Yeah,
can they'll be impressed. They say the people are actually the proud owners of the house. There's a history behind it. There's something enjoy. So you took some time to talk through, and basically that's how you build rapport with them because you're actually finding conversations that are meaningful.
yeah,
So the relationship actually is in the conversations.
yes,
The longer they talk with you, the more they basically the bonding will actually happen to work through that. So don't
yeah,
rush through the appointments. Take
yeah.
some time to make sure you understand them and then you communicate your value.
George, I
Yeah.
also want to explain. There are times some of the, of course, not all conversations in 3 hours. A lot of my listings, I built up this relationship where I have 2 to 3 hours conversation, and a lot of time, most of the time, I think Lydia can also explain. We will vouch for this because most of the time it's we are not talking about properties or or just on the listing. We are actually getting to know each other. That's very important. And slowly, there were times when there was another listing last year with Lydia in the bungalow in uh, Ruas. We spent 3 hours, and I think we barely spent 15, 20 minutes talking about the property. The rest of the time, she was 78 years old. She was talking about her life. That is something, and I mean, we really were fascinated about the struggle she had gone through. So that's what I'm saying is building relationship.
Yeah, that's good. Again, it's just to end up the other point, basically is that the you notice basically Ganesh is very instinctive, he's very natural. He doesn't say this is my script, and this is
Yeah,
what I say. So again, it's a conversation, it's a natural one that he have an idea what he wants to do, but in that process one, he will go in and converse with the owner. So today you need to have scripts and dialogues. So some if you don't want to say, you need to have master some scripts. So when you go in and talk enough time, it's just like driving. Eventually, when you drive, you don't think about basically the car so much. You think about observing. So come to a point that you are good in basically what you are doing, which means mastering the scripts that's important for you to actually overcome the fear that you have. When you meet the owner, you can spend time observing, and enjoying the relationships and getting to know the person a bit more. Again, you see, I know Ganesh communicate a lot. You also mentioned, Ganesh, basically when I talk with you, that you are very proactive to suggest ideas for the owners. If you see some things that can actually help the owners, do you bring things up to tell the owners what they can do? Do you follow
uh,
up with them?
yeah. Basically, when I do the inspection, I'm quite detailed about the defects. And this is in one area I think a lot of agents who are not experienced should take note, because there are times when I see the house closed up, having repair, and there needs to be a repairs, and maybe we need to do touch-up painting, and the garden is cluttered, the house is cluttered. I will not hold back. I will actually explain to them the need to declutter, to do the touch-up painting, um, and clear the garden. Many times, a lot of times, I have owners saying, "Oh, what's the point when they buy the house? They are going to completely knock the whole house down." I say that's beside the point. The the first impression is very important. When people come, they don't look at the price first. They are actually getting a feel of whether they can visualize their whether
Mm.
they can visualize they can live here. So if you take that, if you cannot do that, I will be reluctant to work with them. Or
Okay.
there was a time when there was a leakage. The owner asked me to engage a contractor. I engaged one, and the contractor came, and then he told them a quotation. Then the owner said, "Okay, I won't do this." I said, "Fine. you won't do this. I'm going to tell the purchaser this is a issue. I will tell him this is the cost. And then when the purchaser came, he actually liked the house. Then he told me that he's going to discount the cost of the repair. I do this quite often.
Yeah, again, is that you suggest ideas. Now, there's a couple of questions. Maybe you can check and see whether it can help before we move on. The one is basically is the. Hold on. Let me see whether I see the top part. Okay. Lily mentioned, I totally agree. The way we present ourselves makes a lot of difference. Ganesh professionally done. Susan mentioned basically using the FORD script, and for FORD script, for those that don't know, basically when you go in a conversation, basically FORD stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So you talk a little bit about the family, talk a bit about the occupation, talk a bit about recreation and dreams, but in between the FORD, O and R, you squeeze in basically your purpose. They are there to actually help them also. And LV says, thanks Ganesh for the tip. Now there's a question here, how do you handle a middle person obstacle, such as a owner's secretary, PA? They are very protective of letting agents to meet owners directly. So especially for corporates, probably you have to go through the secretary to get to the owners. Now, do you have any thoughts on that, Ganesh?
I think that's a very good question. Basically, I get leads from my past clients telling me to contact this person. I have had one of my biggest deals was through an in-law. It was a father-in-law, and the person was a public figure, and he didn't want to expose themselves. But I made a call, the sense that I met this person, and he wanted to meet up with me 3 times before he gave me completely all the details. When I asked him for all the information, especially the copies of the title, the exclusive appointment, we both had to meet 3 times to feel comfortable that we can work with one another. And I do. I admit I have taken that kind of listing where I had got a good. So as long as I feel comfortable that this person can be trusted, I will take that listing.
Yeah. Again, as I said, if you have a person involved, take time to go in and win the secretary or the person over, because I said that person is supposed to guard the schedules for the the managers in. So in some ways, you need to go in and build rapport in order to do that. And then sometimes it takes time. It might not be the first round, but if you're consistent enough and you actually go in and explain yourself why, then eventually the information will get to the owners. So that one, maybe to look at some ways on the corporate, how you go in and build relationships with corporate clients.
I will do precautions in the sense that when I do get a copy of the title, I will do a land search. I don't mind incurring the cost.
Yeah.
I will check to make sure whatever information they provided me, I will
accurate
have ways of checking out.
Correct. Simple. Otherwise, you are wasting our time going in to do work on a property that doesn't belong to them. Now, the other one that is put down here, John, another question here is, do you include the cost of your fees, or do you charge it to the owner? I think this one basically we include it into the whole fees there. You include the cost into your fees.
What do you mean, the advertisement cost?
Do you include the cost into your fees, or do you charge it to owners?
Or is he asking whether I mark it
Correct.
up? I will never mark up. A lot of owners, when they approach me, they said, okay, this is what I want, and I want you to put in your fees into that. I will never do that. I will tell it, the market dictates the price, not me.
Yeah, maybe if you're referring to additional marketing costs that the year to bear, maybe that one is
that one I will bear it.
Correct. Or let's say if you need to, you can also go in and talk to owners whether some of the marketing costs they're willing to go in and bear if the cost is quite high, especially in some of the industrial properties. The other one over here, Ganesh, do you mind sharing how you do lead generation? Where the leads came from? Is it just by random calls to numbers in that areas, or how?
Okay, I have to admit this. I've been in the industry for 29 years. I have built up a network of referrals. Practically all my leads come from past clients. Of course, I also have another source in the sense that I focus on certain areas. So the moment I have a listing in these areas, when I put up my advertisement, when I post them in the traditional property portals like Edge Property and iProperty, I get calls from other owners. That's one of my biggest sources. And then open houses. And then also, sometimes I go into all these different sites, I can see owners advertising. So if I have a client looking in certain areas, I will look for owners who are advertising on their own. And then the other sources are the allied sources, the mortgage brokers, lawyers, contractors, family, friends. And now I want to admit I'm going into command Facebook campaign. I want to admit it's I'm slowly adapting to it.
Yeah, but like I say, the based on this one, I can also add a few points there. Now, when Ganesh mentioned allied resources and all that, what he's really doing is basically, if you look at him with his the number of years in the market one, his first lead generation source will be basically his past clients. That means he goes back to them one, and then you'll get referrals from them because he's done such a good job. They have no problems referring people to him. The second one basically is that there are some people basically that have not bought from him, but they're in contact with him. We call it the sphere of influence. So he has a sphere of influence that is big enough basically to go in that he can follow up with them. And the third one probably is because he has so many rookies under him. They are also agent to agent referrals. Some agents will go with him and say, Ganesh, I have a listing to basically, can you help me work together? So there's an arrangement that basically when they come together, he work with them on listings to help them close until they are more efficient to do it on their own. So past clients, SOI, and the agent referral, I think basically their one normally will be 50 to at least 80% actually of most agent success. The rest of it basically one is others. So if you look basically at some of the sessions that we have covered, the first 5 lead generation source is important. Mainly if you don't have 5, 3 is sufficient. These are 3 that you need to focus on: SOI, past clients, and agent referral, so that you can actually build your business there. Keep that in mind. Now the other one basically because of time one, I want to ask a few more questions to go in. Now just now Ganesh, you mentioned basically on a database one, maybe you are not as efficient to go in, and maybe not worthwhile to spend the time to learn everything in technology. At that point, I say that is where maybe some leveraging comes in. But imagine basically if the Ganesh, do you keep track of how many people you have in your database right now?
How many people in mind?
That means would you have a number in mind?
Yes, 5,000.
You actually have a number in mind. Okay.
Yeah. I've already printed them out. I just said I've got to sort it out before I put it into command.
So can you imagine if there are 5,000 people that you have, and again, these are people that are built in. Out of 5,000 people, one basically, if you say that if only 10% of the 5,000 will give him opportunity, you are talking about focusing on the 500. If the 500, the 10% of his database respond, 500 people basically say that, okay, I think I can help and refer someone to Ganesh, his database will continue to grow. Out of the 500 people, if only basically 10% of them is successful, in giving opportunity, that means you're talking about only basically 50 people. 500 down to basically 5,000 down to 500, down to basically, in this case, 150 opportunities there. Now, how many deals do you need to close every, in order to achieve your goal, Ganesh? I'm just saying basically, would closing 10 deals be quite?
Actually, most of my deals are on the higher end. I need about 4 or 5, sometimes 3, 4. It's good enough. And most of the time, I'll be frank with you, I only focus on 4 or 5 deals, and all of them, I have 3 criteria. They must be exclusive, they must be 3%, and now, very importantly, is the pricing. If they don't have that, I will not take it. Okay, I think I shared this with you. I made an exception about 2 years ago where I had been keeping in touch with a client for some time. It's a shop lot in Taman Tun. And this was in a very good location. Over the years, we had helped him with the rentals and all that. Then 2 years ago, he contacted me and he said he wanted to sell it. And I told him, okay, I will meet up with him. And I did the listing presentation, explaining to him the CMA and the exclusive. But he rejected the exclusive, but he accepted my price recommendation. And when he came back, he told me that he will only engage 2 agents, and he gave me a price. I knew immediately that this was a price which can be easily sold. So I immediately we recommended it to clients, and there was a response, and we closed it. But the only reason I took it was I knew the price would attract buyers. Otherwise, I would not have taken. So there are times when I've taken made exceptions when the one of the factors is very favorable.
Correct, but you're very selective in doing that one. And again, it's because again, is you know the market well enough to know what listings you want to focus on this year in order to actually build your business there. Like now in this case, for let's assume basically just jumping back on the 5,000 numbers that the database they have. Imagine basically if today one Ganesh has a way to contact these people, and these people can remember him, because we know that basically from past training one, buyers and sellers can only remember agent number one and agent number two. Basically, they know 7 people basically in their list, but out of the 7, only 2 of the agents. Now, if Ganesh is able to go in and communicate with them and have a way that reminds them regularly that he's in the market, more people will go back to him, and then he can actually begin to build his team to be able to do a higher business. Secondly, someone needs to hear the same message 7 times before it's sink in. So that's why repetition is important. We want to be very creative, look for new ideas, but the key is that if you go in and send the same message to the person 7 times, probably the first 3 or 4 times the person don't even know what the message is. But because you see enough times the same message, eventually the person can respond. That is the advantage of using technology to help you to go in and keep in touch with the client, so that they always remember that basically this number 1 and number 2 person is either Ganesh or George. Ganesh or George. That's all, right? For you all, remember Ganesh or George. The first 2 agents, the buyer or seller, remember, that's the one that they will call. Consistency and predictability is more important than creativity. You notice Ganesh is very consistent and very predictable. He has certain standards that he follows with the owner, and then he builds the relationships there. Okay. Now in our conversation here, we have another maybe 10, 15 more minutes. I want to switch that basically to say that today there are a lot of things that you look at in terms of dialogue and with the owner side. The lead generation one, basically there are a lot of things that you can do. I purposely did not cover prospecting and marketing, because there are a lot of sessions done on that already. You can go in today one, look at what is prospecting, what is marketing. Prospecting basically is where you go in and reach to people. Marketing is where people come to you. Prospecting basically is more time consuming but more cost effective. Marketing is you need to go in and design the messages appropriately for the market. Those things you need to do in order to get the leads. Once you get the leads, you must meet with the owner, have the appointment, and then go for the listings. Now, if you don't have a good presentation, then you will not be very successful. So you saw basically in this case one, even in the conversation that we have with Ganesh, he has a system in place. That means he always start with the fact that if I get listings, I must always meet with the owner. I don't accept basically just a phone call or photos. Second, basically when I go to the place, I inspect the place and I go in and make sure that the place is properly staged to be able to sell fast. That means basically either the price or the condition is correct. He has a marketing plan that he present. Inspect the place, stage the place properly. He has a plan that he goes in. And I heard him mention, Ganesh, that you change your plans every 6 months or 2 to 6 months.
I give them a marketing proposal for 6 months. Every 2 months, I will change the marketing. So they will see in detail all my marketing activities.
Okay, that means you keep the owners updated. So basically, inspection important, marketing plan important, and I think pricing is also important.
Very
make sure that pricing is correctly. And the fourth thing that I think you do very well is basically I know you communicate and provide feedback with the owner regular.
That is one very important factor, because a lot of owners have complained to me that they have given exclusive in the past and they don't get feedback. My marketing report, whether positive or negative, I tell them this is how the market is responding, and my marketing activities are detailed enough to let them know the property is not moving, so they will adjust.
Okay, good. Now, if you guys have questions, please put it into the chat box. And like I say, Charles, the different ones. If we forget some of the questions, please remind us. I want to switch to basically coaching that you just mentioned, that basically you bring people along with you. Now, if today you are coaching new agents or people that are trying to go into certain areas, how would you actually guide them? How would you go in and suggest for someone to be actually go in to coach so that they become just like you over a period of time? How would you what would you suggest?
Basically, I from the beginning itself, when someone new comes in, I get to know that. I really want to know. Okay, like I need to know why they are in the industry. The big why. That's very important to me because if they are in it just strictly for the money, I think they will be very disappointed. So once I get to know them, then I explain to them how I would do my coaching. Uh, it's very detailed, and usually I like when I'm coaching, it's in a smaller group, three, four people, together, and before the MCO, I like to see that directly in front of me because when I am coaching, I can see how they are reacting. That's how I do that, and then of course I will go through all the forms. I know it's boring. I will go through all the forms, explaining to them line by line what it means and how objections can come about. I think it's very important they understand the forms they are going to be using to engage with the owner. Because if you don't understand, how can you ask somebody to sign something? So this is very important to me. And then I basically will go through. I will take them on my field trips. Very important what they study in the the office or in their classroom or whatever. They need to understand why it is being practiced that way. So I think for me, nothing is better than taking them on field trip. I enjoy that. And basically we strategize, we explain, we also have scripts. We do role plays before I go and meet clients. And then we will strategize how we will take certain approaches. And then if things don't go according to plan, then we have plan A, plan B, plan C.
Okay, so what they're saying, Ganesh, basically is one is that you go in, you take time, like I say, for those that are coaches or productivity coaches, or you're helping people, this is important for the listener because Ganesh takes time to know the person. Big why again is the purpose, the drive, the ambition, what the person wants to do, so that you know that the person basically, how to actually go in and help the person. Now he also go in. I think he will do one-to-one, but he mentioned also he do with groups of 3 to 4 people. I mean, generally smaller group, not a big group, so they can get to know them more personally, and then they can share experiences and then dialogues. Because sometimes one-to-one, the questions might not come up. So if we have few, then the questions allow them to interact with one another. Then you can learn from one another. He also share his experiences, both positive and negative, so that they learn from that. And he used
especially the negative part because I made a lot of mistakes in my journey. I don't want them to repeat.
Yeah, there's one positive experience that they have that the owner entice you to come to the house all the time because he knows that you like nasi biryani.
Okay, I've got to admit. Okay, oh George, you brought that up. Okay, this is an owner. I got this listing 2 years ago. It's a bungalow in SS2. It's an incredible experience. I don't know. I mean, we signed up for 6 months and it lapsed, and I had brought in so many different people. I had 4 different offers, all didn't go through because mostly because the loans were rejected. And just just before the MCO, this owner, I don't know for what reason, to show his culinary skills, and he suddenly said, "Come, I made biryani. I made this chicken. I got made with mutton biryani. I want you to come and collect it." He had he really could cook. This was a person who had lived overseas and he had learned all this cooking and all that, and he wanted to share that. And and during this time, there were two offers. One offer lapsed. Just what happened was lapsed because of the bank loan and all that. Then the second offer came. We were getting close. It's a Dato. He's the managing director of a public listed company. And just after one day after he had given me the biryani, I got the offer and I managed to close it one day before the MCO.
Yeah, again, it's the so.
I think he was trying to incentivize.
No, I think the relationship is mutual,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because actually it's
I was
enjoyable.
just joking about that.
Yeah,
I think this was an owner. He's a professional. He's an engineer. This guy he's been all over the world. He, I think he appreciated what we had done for him, and the fact is, and the price we closed it was nearly 500,000 below what he was expecting. But he understood the current situation.
yeah. Small things like that again is go a long ways to build relationship.
Yeah,
It's not expensive, but the effort the owner put in to do that. Again, is that makes the Ganesh wants to put an extra
yeah. I did.
effort to go in to do that. So one-to-one time, smaller group time, sharing positive and negative experiences, going through the terms and conditions line by line,
Yep.
so that basically the agents know. So because when you go in front of the owners and then you cannot explain, then again you don't come across as very very professional. Plus also you skip through, so the owners don't really understand what exclusive means or what the terms means, the 3% or whatever. So the terms is important to make sure you understand.
Also, can I also interject? When there's some parts where there will be objection, we learn. I have role plays how to overcome, especially on the 3%, the time period for the 6 months and all that. You must learn how to explain to the owners it's to their benefit.
Yeah, so in this case, this is where in some ways for those of you listening here, now today's time we don't have time to go in to look at mastering scripts and handling objection. But I realized that basically Ganesh mentioned the fact that it's important for the objections that owner would bring up, so they have a response to do that one. You must also role play to go through those scripts so that you are familiar, because you cannot role play and practice on the owner. But of course, because Ganesh is there with the rookies there, they can observe. And then from there, when we go back, I'm sure that they dialogue how to improve that. So don't forget the importance of role play and then understanding the objections. And that's why if you have no idea what objections are, you can go back to the Ignite training or talk to some of or just buy Ganesh the biryani rice. He will tell you basically all the objection, how to solve the problem at a very small fee. Because Helmi's comment is, how come Ganesh never invite me to his house for biryani? Ganesh, I don't cook biryani rice.
I don't cook. I get invited.
Yeah. Let me just basically share. Just ask maybe one more question for you, Ganesh. Basically, is that you have gone in and you have met a lot of owners, sellers, a lot of agents. What do you observe that the agents are failing to do or afraid to do that will stop them from being successful?
I think two things: fright, fear. I think the fear of telling the owners the truth. That is a lot of agents I observe. They just whatever the owner expects on the pricing, they do not question them. That's something which they have to work on. And then also the fear of not explaining to them the condition of the house and how it should be staged. Uh, Very important, because most owners, they just brush it off by saying, "Oh, the new guy will completely tear this down and redo it." Staging is very, very important, and the pricing, that is something. And number two is, I think, not following up. I think that's for me, following up and being there when there are challenges. I some agents, even after closing the deal and when problems crop up, they expect the lawyers or someone else to resolve it. I take responsibility. I'll be there. I rather clip the problem from before it grows bigger.
Okay, let me speak to what you're saying basically is that for the agents to learn to be not fearful of the owner, but learn to speak the truth.
Yep.
Basically in
With
love. That means,
data, not emotion.
uh,
You can't go there and say, hey, the market is bad, like you can't sell at this price. No, you got to have data.
That's it. Speak the truth in love. That means basically understand the owners are human beings.
Yeah.
Your choice of words are important.
Yeah,
Again,
very,
understand that basically you have their interest in mind, but at the same time, you're helping them go in to be able to position the house so that they can actually sell. Because pricing is another issue. I said today, I was hoping to go into that area, but I know that pricing is another topic on its own. How to price the property correctly, how to price the property ahead of the market. Again, how to help the owner understand basically where his house is priced at, basically conditions to sell his house. Now, if you basically go in and want to learn more, Ganesh and myself actually did one session I think basically maybe beginning of the year, on basically one of the tactics in Shift, the book Shift, to go in on pricing strategy. So if you have time, watch that video, because they want to go into more detail basically on how you can price the property correctly so that you can actually sell. So keep that in mind. Basically today the topic is lead generation for listings. And what we talked about with Ganesh is just the importance of actually going for the appointments, making sure you're successful for the listings, but at the same time, build rapport with the owners, present a marketing plan. So when you close a time, make sure you close before closing, serve biryani rice, something to entice the owner so that the owner can agree on the pricing. The price, is it 500, how much lower? 500,000?
$500,000 lower.
$500,000 and only one plate of biryani rice. Again, it's the owner understand the whole thing. And Ganesh mentioned to me that he keep a very good feedback. That means feedback sometimes can be regular. So the owner understand basically what he's doing and basically where things are at. So I hope today's session is helpful for you all to go through. Is there any other questions that we have missed out, because time is running out of us? So I want to make sure that today's session is useful for you. Let's say if you have more questions, again, let Jonathan know, because we do want to have sessions that is impactful for you. Let me just basically summarize today's session by just asking a few things that I put on my mind. The last 1 hour, what we did is we go in and help you understand. You must know your numbers and you must know the law of average, because you don't know your numbers, you don't even know how many listings you need to take. Once you know the numbers, then you can figure out how much effort you need to put in to actually go in and see the result. It's just a number game. You must also know scripts and dialogues. Now, if you don't know, that's a beginning point. Go for Ignite training. There's a whole manual of Ignite scripts. Go back, start to go in and learn that one, and eventually become conversational. We are not asking you to become a robot now, repeat everything. Today, I think it needs to be a dialogue. It needs to be conversation. Learn to build your database and categorize them, because your database is your business. I just heard one of the podcasts by Gary Keller. They say basically sometimes people forget that they are so caught up in closing deals that they don't build their business. Closing deals is not your business. Your database is your business. The 5,000 clients is your business. If you work on a database, there's enough clients, the business will come. Closing deals is along the way while you build your business, your database. So remember that, build your database, categorize them, identify the 3 lead generation source that you can go in to be able to get more leads. Past clients, sphere of influence, and again, is maybe you could have other areas in terms of for you. Use command campaign to generate leads, because that one is something you're using it. Don't ignore that, because you're getting leads generated, but you must make sure you go in with the leads one to qualify them, and then go in and meet with the owner so they can get exclusive and 3%. Build strong relationships with the client. Have conversations. Again, your owners are human. Learn to go in and understand human behaviors. Basically, I think Ganesh is an expert in understanding human, because you can deal with anyone. End of day one, the person basically likes you because basically the person knows that you can relate with the person. Learn to go in and understand people. Have a marketing plan, because you don't have a plan, you don't have a value proposition. When you see in front of owners one, even though the plan could be 30 minutes, but it's a very important 30 minutes for you to present the plan. And you must also be able to handle pricing and objection from seller. And the last thing basically today one is to remember this: don't be afraid to tell the truth. Be honest, but tell the owner what's going on, but not maybe the first time. As you go along the relationships, you can actually do that. Now, I don't know whether there's any announcements that we have. Maybe you can get the announcement slides on, and then we'll come back for Ganesh, maybe to share one last thing that you want to pass to us.
Thanks, Ganesh and George, for the valuable insight and sharing this morning. Can I have the announcement slides? just a few quick announcements. So later today, we actually have the Chinese training for Lead Gen Wednesday buyers as well, led by Ashlyn, Jonathan Kwek, and Kelvin from FDRT. Next, please. So on Friday, this coming Friday, we have another 2 tech trainings. First is transaction management, sharing about how to use DocuSign and e-payment by Marcus Park. And later on Friday afternoon, we will also have a Tech Friday session by Lucas, sharing about what the benefits of using paid posts on your Facebook business page. Next, please. I hope you guys have been using our agent to client touch points. So these are actually the scripts and design which was posted last Thursday on Workplace Review Happenings. We will actually be posting 2 new designs focusing on touch points with sellers tomorrow as well. Next. And if you have yet to sign up for a command training with Winnie, please do. The link to sign up is in the chat box. Next. Yeah. And also our exclusive Matterport offer is actually back this MCO. If you would like to know a bit more about how to use Matterport and what the benefits of it, especially in terms of if you're looking to do virtual viewings with your clients, you can contact Christine, or you can also contact Charles Lee, as he has been using it. Next. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And now we'll go back to Ganesh for his last advice.
Yes, Ganesh. What is one last advice you'd like to leave with all of us?
Basically, I know all of us are going through very challenging times in this pandemic. But I really believe that if you can have a branding or a value, a proposition for people, people will recognize that and people will listen to you. Really, that's very important. You got to differentiate yourself from the rest. It's no point just going there and going through the motions. For me, the value proposition is very important, and especially in these challenging times. I've gone through this my 3rd crisis. I actually prospered in the previous 2 ones. Yeah, I found opportunities, including real estate investments. So as long as you have a value proposition that people see, you can ask and they will listen. That's my advice.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, Ganesh. Again, is have a value proposition, have a plan, have a strategy.
Yeah.
And thanks a lot, everyone, for joining us today. See you in the next training. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Be safe, huh?
See you, George.
Okay. Thanks, Ganesh. Enjoy the time together.
Okay.
We'll have a live real ones next time. Huh?
Right.
Together. We have a lot of Zoom. I don't know whether it's really you or not up there. Maybe it's just oh, but good. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Take care.
Okay, George. It's great. Good session.
Okay.
Bye.